And then he says we may survive. All right. Are we survivors? Yes, we are survivors, right? We were dead and we resurrected. Now we're alive. We still have some issues, but anyways, that's the human condition. Let's pray. Abba, thank you for your awesomeness. Thank you for Yeshua, our Messiah. Thank you for that you allow us to count the Omer, count the days of our Messiah here on earth, and count our days so we can walk through this world according to your will. Thank you, Father, and allow us to see your light and be your light, the light of Messiah. B'Shem Yeshua. Amen. All right, if I find my things in here. We have some issues with the internet. Apparently, again, a truck passed by and ripped off the cable. So we are disconnected from the world. That doesn't mean that we can do whatever. No, there still are cameras here, still seeing us. So let me see if this thing works. Yes, it does. Remember that video we were watching? Beautiful, right? Because this is the month of splendor, according to some scholars. The month of light. The month... well, it is the second month out of the 12th month in the biblical calendar. Iyar, that's the word. Let me move this to this again. Iyar, as you can see in Hebrew, the Aleph is mute. So you have, what the? This thing moves itself. Well, I'm moving it. Did I say something bad? Almost, right? You don't know which word I was going to say. See, it's moving itself. Are you moving it? Going to have to. I don't know what's wrong with this thing. Some ghosts around here. Anyhow, Iyar, so the Aleph is mute, and then you have the two, you might call them the Yuds, the two Yuds, and so you have Yud and the Resh. So it's Iyar. So it's kind of, in English it's easier, Iyar. Very easy, right? Anyhow, Iyar comes at the same time as the secular month, April, May. So sometimes it's April, sometimes it's May. We're still in which month? April. So that's a cool thing. I don't want to talk about the constellations and all of these. It's kind of confusing and very mystical, and I guess there's an entire class for all of these. And the good thing is that this month links the 2 months together, the month of Nisan and the month of Sivan. Last month, Nisan was the time when seeds were planted. In Iyar, there are some other things that happen to nurture the new seeds, helping them to grow in the harvest of the coming month of Sivan. Iyar also links the month of Nisan and Sivan through the counting of the Omer. As we count the Omer, we experience our own growth and the growth of all the believers. In Nisan, we became a nation. That's the Jewish people. They became a nation, born out of the Exodus from Egypt. In Iyar, the Jewish people enters adolescence as we struggle to become a mature nation ready to receive the Torah in Sivan. So, in the Bible, the month of Iyar is called Ziv, meaning radiance. It has many meanings. Let's look Exodus 15:26, which mentions apparently this month, 15:26. Exodus, I say, right? Let's see. You find it? 26. He says, in this Bible. He says, if you will listen, 15:26, right? That's what I say? 15:26. Let me read again. This Bible comes with very small letters, and I have very bad eyes. He says, if you will listen intently of the voice of Adonai your God, do what he considers right, pay attention to his mitzvot, and observe his laws, I will not afflict you with any of the diseases abroad on the Egyptians, because I am Adonai your healer. Your healer, that's the key word. This is also, according to some scholars, is the month that is commonly referred to as the month of natural healing. For its name is an acronym for Ani Adonai Rofecha, which means I am Adonai, or I am God your healer, which is in Exodus 15:26. So that's a good thing that we have to consider as Messianics also, because we believe in the power of healing from the Lord. But keep in mind that if you're not obedient to his word, that might be the problem of why you are kind of ill. Sometimes that's what it is. We are ill because we are doing something wrong, or because we are not following we're not being smart, or we're not being wise, or how to eat, how to, walk ourselves. We probably abuse of drinking, or even prescribe drugs and things like that. Or you're abusing, or your God abusing, or your wife, and so on. So a lot of things that we need to pay attention to it. There's another neat tradition. Tradition teaches the Miriams first appeared during Iyar, and also manna, the food that sustained the ancient Israelites during their desert journey. So there's a couple of things that we need to pay attention to it. If I find my other notes, we can continue. Yes, I got them right here. And they are all mixed up. Anyhow, this is it. I have pieces of calendar in here. Also, I guess we can do the blessings of the Omer later, right? Okay. So, what are the holidays in here? We have many holidays. This is a neat picture about the radiance and lights and everything. But we have some holidays. They are not biblical holidays, I believe so, except Pesach Sheni, maybe. Yeah, Pesach Sheni, you can find it in the Bible. But the rest of them are really not considered biblical holidays, but they are national holidays concerning to Israel. So we have 5 different kind of holidays that are considered for the land of Israel. For Iyar is Yom HaZikaron. 5th of Iyar is Yom HaAtzmaut. 14 Iyar is Pesach Sheni, which is considered a second Pesach. So if you didn't have time to do the Pesach in the first time, then you can do a second time. And then we have Lag BaOmer, which is it's a tradition also on 18 Iyar. On the 28th of Iyar is Yom Yerushalayim, which is the day of Jerusalem. Let's see each one of them, and let's just move on to what we can say about it. Yom HaZikaron literally means Israeli fallen soldiers and victims of terrorism remembrance day. And it's Israel's official Memorial Day. We just kind of commemorate the Yom HaShoah also. which is kind of a sad moment that we need to observe. And they have strict rules in Israel. Everybody stop and they just, pay respect to the victims and everything. They observe it as a moment of silence. People stand in silence while the siren is heard. That's in Tel Aviv. It's a 2-minute siren, actually. It's heard at 11 the following morning, which marks the opening of the official memorial ceremonies in private remembrance gatherings of each cemetery where soldiers are buried. Many Israelis visit the resting places of loved ones throughout the day. So it's kind of it's a neat celebration, not celebration, commemoration, but at the same time, it's kind of sad. But we need to understand the moment of death also. I mean, we all die somehow, and if you have an opportunity to help someone to walk through that kind of gate to the next level of life, if we die in Messiah, we'll survive this world, all this universe. That's the only way we can move on to the next level and be united with not only our loved ones, but our Messiah and God in the world to come. Then we have another neat day, the 5th of Iyar. This is how they pay their respect to the fallen soldiers. And Zizhor means remember. Remember is a neat word in Hebrew. Many prayers in Hebrew talks about remember. And we try to remember God to remember us, which is kind of contradictory, right? Remember us, Lord. Remember your promises. Remember what you say. Remember. And is, I guess, an anxious way of remember. We need to remember that He remembers us. I mean, it's kind of neat, but at the same time, it sounds contradictory, but it's not. I mean, it's somehow good for our souls to remember that He remembers us. So remember to do that when you're praying. Yeah. Then we celebrate Yom HaAtzmaut, which is literally the Independence Day. In the United States, it's when? 4th of July, right? In Israel, it's 5th of Iyar, which is this year is going to happen. That's why I brought this awesome calendar. It's going to happen in May the 2nd, actually. May 1st is Yom HaZikaron, and Yom HaAtzmaut is going to happen. The Independence Day is going to happen on May the 2nd this year. It's kind of neat. They celebrate that. Yom HaAtzmaut is preceded by Yom HaZikaron, the Israeli fallen soldiers and victims of terrorism Remembrance Day. I mean, they always have those. And Yom HaAtzmaut centers around the declaration of the establishment of the State of Israel by the Jewish leadership led by future Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion on 14th May 1948. A lot of neat things happened during that year. This was declared 8 hours before the end of the British Mandate of Palestine, which was due to finish on May 15th, 1948. So, another neat date that we do. I hope you have some matzah still. So, if you want to have a second Pesach, you can eat it. Do not invite me, because I have enough matzah myself. But this is biblical. Actually, we read about it. I think last week we read about it on the portion of the Torah in Vayikra 9, 1, Vaikra is the book of Leviticus, right? 9, and is, let's see, Pesach Shinei, second Passover occurs every year exactly 1 month after Passover. So if it is 14 on Nisan, so on 14 of Sheni, of Iyar, it's called the Pesach Sheni, the second Pesach. The historical purpose of this day was for those who were unable to bring the Passover sacrifice on the correct day because they were then impure or too far from Jerusalem to have a second chance to do so. The holiday is ordained in the Torah in Numbers 9, 1 through 14. In modern times, due to the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem, Jews are unable to perform the Passover sacrifice either on Passover or on Pesach Shinei. Some have the custom of eat matzah during Pesach Shinei, memory of the sacrifice. The theme of the holiday is second chances. So God is about giving us second chances. I think He's giving us more than second chances. He's giving us multiple chances all the time. And that's what we need to do too, to give our loved ones second chances. More than second chances probably. Again, one of the most difficult institutions in the entire world. Institutions are made of people, right? And people are people. We are imperfect. And so, but the most difficult institution, to me at least, is the marriage. And the marriage, especially women, they are very full of patience. And they give us not only second chances, more than second chances, over and over and over. So keep doing that, women, ladies, because, you have a place in the world to come doing that, because that doesn't mean, guys, that you gotta do whatever. You gotta stop doing what you're doing. If you're doing something wrong, stop it, repent, come back to the Lord. We can do that on a daily basis. But I believe if you eat matzah that day, you still keep matzah, have a piece of matzah, and think about second chances. The second chances that the Lord given us is the same thing we can do to our loved ones, especially, and to our enemies. Our enemies are sometimes people we don't think of, but that we have this kind of thing. When you see somebody, of course it's not here, you people are very saint, very holy. But when you see somebody that you don't like, your stomach starts to kind of move around, like, boo, boo, you kind of don't want to go towards that person. But you have to. God is, again, it's about giving us chances, and we have to give chances to other peoples. And in Leviticus 9, I was telling you, it's very long, but let's try to find the part where it says, talks about the offering in the second month. Did you find it? Yeah. 9:7. Thank you. Moshe told Aaron, approach the altar, offer your sin offering and burnt offering, and make atonement for yourself and the people. Then present the offering and the people and make atonement for them as in the night order. It's probably more. It's about the second chance. Hope it's here. I hope I haven't taken the wrong. Maybe I had the wrong. Probably I took the wrong one. I'm so sorry. Find where the text talks about in the second month you can do your second Pesach. If you can find it for me, it would be great. This is kind of a test for you. So find it for me and let me know, please. It's got to be here. I can't see it. But it's based on that. That's the reason they gave me in this study. Unless they fool me. Anyhow, we are talking about Yom HaAtzmaut and Pesach Shinei, having a second chance. Very good thing. And of course, Yeshua is the one that gave us the second chance, right? The chance to become part of His people, to become part of Adonai's people, which is a good thing. That's not me. Oh, is that you? Okay. I thought it was me. Then we have another interesting celebration in this month, traditional celebration, by the way. It's called Lag BaOmer, which literally means it's also known as Lag LaOmer amongst Sephardi Jews. It's a Jewish holiday celebrated on the 33rd day of the counting of the Omer, which occurs on the 18th day of the Hebrew month of Iyar. According to the Talmudic Midrash, this day marks the Hilula, anniversary of death, by Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai or bar Kochba, a Mishnaic sage and leading disciple of Rabbi Akiva in the 2nd century. Modern Jewish tradition links the holiday to Bar Kochba revolt against the Roman Empire in 132-135 of the Common Era. In Israel, Lag BaOmer is celebrated as a symbol of the fighting Jewish spirit, which I've been watching movies about the Holocaust, and probably only 2 ghettos before going to the concentration camp. I think it was 1 ghetto in Poland and 1 concentration camp that they really rebelled against the Germans and against their oppressors. And then there's another neat story in a movie. It's called Defiance that you can also watch. It's a kind of violent movie, if you ask me. But the story behind, you don't need to watch the whole movie, just watch the historical background behind it. About these guys who basically founded a camp within the forest in, I think it's a country called, I'm not sure if it is Ukraine or Latvia, some place like that, some Oriental, European Oriental, I don't know if it's Latvia or Lithuania, something like, it's not Lithuania, by the way. It's Lithuania or something like that. They rebel, I think Numbers. It is Numbers. You're right. I'm so sorry. It's Numbers. Thank you. Thank you. You know, and it says Numbers in here. Why I said Leviticus, I don't know. That's why. That's the book we're reading, and so yes, it's Numbers. You want to go back there in Numbers? Thank you. See, that's why I have people like you in here. We have people like you. And he mentions that. Thank you very much. It's 9, 6, and 7. 9, 6, and 7. But there were certain people who had become unclean because of someone's corpse, so that they could not observe Pesach on that day. So they came before Moshe and Aaron that day and said to him, "We are unclean because of someone's corpse, but why must we be kept from bringing the offering for Adonai at the time designated for the people of Israel?" Moshe answered, "Wait, so that I can hear what Adonai will order concerning you." Adonai says to Moshe, "Tell the people of Israel, if any of you now or in the future generations is unclean before of a corpse, or if he is on a trip abroad, nevertheless he is to observe Pesach, but he will observe it in the 2nd month on the 14th day at dusk. They are to eat it with matzah and maror." It doesn't mention the wine here. Interesting. They are to leave none of it till morning, and they are not to break any of its bones. They are to observe it according to all the regulations of Pesach. But the person who is clean and not on a trip, who fails to observe Pesach, will be cut off from his people because he did not bring the offering for Adonai as a designated time. The person will bear the consequences of his sin, and so on. So, and this is very interesting, 14. If a foreigner is staying with you and wants to observe Pesach for Adonai, he is to do it according to the regulations and rules of Pesach. You are to have the same law for a foreigner as for the citizen of the land. Very good. Okay, I guess that's very clear. Thank you for that. And so we were talking about Lag Omer. And again, the origins of this is into the history of the Jewish people. By the way, Rabbi Akiva declared that Bar Kokhba was the Messiah, and that was very messy. It was a messy time. It's one of the first false messiahs ever happened after the Messiah prophesied that it will be false prophets. And so they celebrated very neat. They do bonfires. They do a lot of neat things, especially the Orthodox. They do a lot of bonfires, and they sing all night, and they celebrate it kind of neat. But again, it's also the spirit, the fighting spirit of the Jewish people today. It's not going to happen a second Holocaust because they have the right to defend themselves. Before that, even the rabbis stopped them to defend themselves. And only a few, again, I told you, it was, I believe, only one ghetto and one camp, concentration camp, that they rebel against their oppressors. I don't know if I can leave myself and not put my hand, well, I don't want to talk about it. I will defend myself, that's all I can tell you. But anyways, I'm like, you going before the Lord before me, now me. Now my day. If I have the chance, if I'm now, hey, whatever, you know. I know where I'm going. So, the other day that they celebrate in this month is Yom Yerushalayim, or Jerusalem Day. It's an Israeli national holiday commemorating the reunification of Jerusalem and the establishment of Israeli control over the old city in June 1967. The chief rabbinate of Israel declared Jerusalem Day a minor religious holiday to thank God for victory in the Six-Day War and for answering the 2,000-year-old prayer of next year in Jerusalem. So, it is neat. This is a classic picture about these guys who couldn't believe what was happening. And they were right in front of the Wailing Wall. And they were just happy. And that's another picture I couldn't find about the same guys. Now they are older. I think they're still alive. But now that they are older, they reunite again, and they took the same picture. Not the same picture, but in the same place and doing the same thing. It was a kind of very interesting day for the Jewish people. So just keep in mind to celebrate that too. That's a neat celebration. I'm pretty sure that Yeshua also will be happy to celebrate that his people are celebrating all these holidays. There are many other days that I want to skip. They're all important, but again, most of these things were happening on these. Let me see if I can read a few. For instance, the Germans in 14 Iyar, 1933, they burnt Jewish books following the rise of the Nazi Party in Germany in the year 1933. The Nazis burned thousands of books written by Jews on the 14th or Iyar on that year. But in 1960, for instance, of the same day, Heichmann, it's a weird name, Heichmann, you can help me with this word, captured in Buenos Aires. It was a Heichmann, right? Heichmann, like Heichmann. Sounds like Heyman. He's not here today. Huh? It sounds like Heyman, right? No, Heichmann. Adolf Heichmann, a key party and implementing of Hitler's final solution, was captured by agents of the Israeli Mossad in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Heichmann was in charge of all transportation required for the shipment of Jews to the extermination camp. I still have sound? Yeah. Extermination camps. The height of his career was reached in Hungary in 1944. What do you call it career? I mean, what kind of career is an assassin's career? When he managed to transport 400,000 Jews to the gas chambers in less than 5 weeks. What an accomplishment, eh? After the war, Heichmann fled to Argentina and lived under the assumed name of Ricardo Clement for 10 years. No, Ricardo, we got you. For 10 years until Israeli Mossad agents abducted him on May 11, 1960, and smuggled him out to the country to stand trial in Jerusalem for his crimes against the Jewish people, crimes against humanity, and war crimes. During the 4 months of the trial, over 100 witnesses testify against him. Over 100 witnesses testify against him. Eichmann took the stand and used the defense that he was just obeying orders. Why me, he asked. Why not the local policemen, thousands of them? They would have been shot if they had refused to round up the Jews for the death camps. Everybody killed the Jews. Heichmann was found guilty in all counts, sentenced to death, and hanged in Bramley prison on May 31, 1962. And so, there were many other things. In 1727, Jews were expelled from Ukraine. In 1883, were riots in Rostov-on-Don in Russia. It was the home of 14 synagogues and many communal institutions. With the encouragement of local Russian officials, a wave of anti-Jewish riots, pogroms, swept the city in the 15th of Iyar in 1883. The Nuremberg laws passed in Hungary in 1939. And Dachau, this is the camp I was telling you about. 15 Iyar 1945, the Dachau was liberated. Dachau was the first Nazi concentration camp and the model of the other concentration camps. During the war, 200,000 Jews were housed in Dachau. More than 30,000 were killed and tens of thousands died due to the conditions and the spread of disease in the camp. The camp was freed by the 40th Infantry Division on the U.S. 7th Army on the 16th of Iyar. And then you have in year 66, Roman garrison defeated, and so many other dates and things that happened during this period of time. But anyways, we been looking in all of this, and then we might think, what is everything to do with our Messiah, right? What do you think? Everything has to do with the Messiah? Do you have the answer? Do we have the answer? Maybe we do, maybe we don't. But I want to talk to you also about fabulous females. You see, every month the tradition tries to present, because this month is really in honor to women, according to the tradition. You're not supposed to do anything on this day, the day of, stop doing that. You're doing that to your husbands, right? Doing that to your husband, okay. Anyways, your husbands and your children are supposed to help you with everything, everything you're supposed to do. But anyways, they have one of the neatest things is the counting of the armor. We're in this processing of counting the armor, but we are also counting the days of Yeshua when he was resurrected. And well, today is the 15th day, and we are moving to the 16th day of the armor. That means that Yeshua was on earth more than 2 weeks already. It's been 2 weeks and 2 days, basically, today. And so what he was doing during this period of time, he was teaching his disciples, he was walking along in this month, and teaching Torah to his disciples. I wonder what they were talking about. And if you keep reading the Gospels, you might understand, again, what they were talking about. The Gospels and the Gospel is 4 different versions of the Gospel. He was talking about that and talking about the Torah, and some of the teachings are in the epistles and the letters of Peter and James and Paul. And so I got the feeling a lot of those teachings were from there, right from there. And so that's one of the neatest things we can see. We are getting ready to move, and we are moving on. As in this picture you can see Pesach, the month of light, which is Yeshua. Yeshua is walking during this month. Isn't it neat? He's the light of the world, and we represent him. So he's moving, we are moving on with him, walking with him, counting the armor with him, moving on to Zivan, where it's going to be what? Shavuot, right? And on Shavuot, Pentecost, we receive the Torah. But we also had the opportunity to understand how the Holy Spirit was working in his first disciples. So they have the empower. The Holy Spirit has been here all the time. But during that period of time, he was empowering his disciples, those ones who were witnesses. Probably in there were those guys who, the just. Remember when he resurrected? There were the just also, a lot of righteous guys who resurrected. I got the feeling that they were there also, receiving the Holy Spirit, those 120. And then 3,000 and so on. They were growing in masses, 10 of thousands, including a lot of leaders, including a lot of people from the Sanhedrin, the same ones who condemned him. I mean, Caiaphas has the same opportunity like everybody else to receive him in his heart and ask for forgiveness and move on to do whatever he says that you have to do. And so it happened in this period of time. We're getting ready to move on to that day. You want to see miracles? You gotta also kind of open your spiritual eyes, basically. Your spiritual eyes and your spiritual ears need to see, need to hear what's going on by counting this armor. It's not just counting, okay, today's blah, 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 you say the prayers and that's it. And then watch the soap opera and watch the movie or whatever. You gotta move on, read the Bible, read the scriptures, and obey and pray and, kind of fill your spirit with that light. And try to have the same power that those people have. So when we come here on Shavuot, you also have the opportunity to, there's a list on the city that you have the opportunity to have it to. There's a prayer list that you can be working on. And there's a lot of neat things you can pray for in there. And at the same time, you put an offering aside. You just make it holy, Since we're not farmers, we don't have the wheat and nothing like that. We put $1 aside, minimal. But I'm pretty sure you guys are very rich and very, you are from a rich nation of God. But what I mean is, whatever is in your heart, whatever you can put aside bring it on Shavuot as a wave offering to the Lord and for His kingdom. And that would be a very neat kind of a thing we can do, all of us together. Now, I was telling you about the ladies, right? Let's read some of these traditions. In Jewish mysticism, they saw the Omer period as a time for preparing ourselves to receive Torah on Shavuot by reflecting on one's personal qualities. They taught that each week of the Omer we should meditate on a different spiritual quality. And so this is also good for us, the Messianics. Now, fabulous females. Fabulous. Fabulous. Is that the word? Fabulous. I like that word. All the females associated with the Omer are fabulous. Since many of the women are featured in other months, we choose Rebecca and her nurse Deborah. A different Deborah than the one on the Omer chart. It's a different Deborah. As our fabulous females of Iyar. It's not that Deborah from the book of Judges. It's another Deborah that we don't know of too much. Because it's mentioned only twice, if you realize, in the Torah. Rebecca is the second matriarch of the Jewish people. One day, when Rebecca was at her family well, and a stranger approached her, and she rushed to give him and all his camels enough water to drink. This stranger turned out to be Abraham's servant. Some people believe he was Eliezer, who was on a mission to find a suitable wife for Abraham's son Isaac. Upon Eliezer's request, Rebekah consented to marry Isaac. After a tearful goodbye, in which she received her parents' blessing, Rebekah and her nurse Deborah left her homeland and went with Eliezer to meet Isaac. It was love at first sight for both Rebekah and Isaac. You kind of, Soon Rebekah was pregnant with twins. She had a difficult pregnancy and cried out to God in pain. God offered her directly a privilege granted to other women in the Hebrew Bible, with the exception perhaps of Hagar. God told Rebekah that the twins were struggling in her womb and that the older was destined to serve the younger, an unusual situation in those times. Years later, Rebekah helped her son Jacob trick her father into giving him the blessing due to his older brother, so that God's words will come true. We may not have enough information to really understand why God and Rebekah chose Jacob for leadership of the Jewish people, but Rebekah's behavior does show us that people sometimes have to make hard choices. Rebekah inspired us to rush to give freely and generously to those in need whose path cross our own. She reminds us that God's presence is with us in the difficult times and in our lives when we feel alone and in pain. Deborah is Rebekah's nurse. The Torah mentions this Deborah only twice, when she goes with Rebekah to live with Isaac, and when she dies and is buried. Deborah is the only servant in the Hebrew Bible whose death and burial is mentioned at all. Perhaps this indicates that Deborah was very important and beloved to Rebekah. She spent most of her life at Rebekah's side and must have helped her through many difficult times. Deborah invites our admiration for her hard work and her devotion. She reminds us to honor and celebrate the lives and work of nurses and healthcare workers in our day. So that's a tough job, I realize. Nurses and healthcare workers are really very difficult, to be. Anyhow, I guess that's it for today. Maybe this little thing. The Omer, I already spoke about the Omer. In tradition, the traditions associate each passing day of the month of Iyar with heightened spiritual status, wherein a different level of tumah, impurity, is purged from the soul, thereby implying that the Israelites' journey from Egypt to Sinai represented a spiritual transformation. So, what I encourage you to do is to keep celebrating the resurrection of our Messiah. I told you the other in the resurrection day that we don't celebrate the resurrection only one day. We celebrate it for 50 days. Okay, 50. All these days are we are celebrating the resurrection of our Messiah. But also we are walking with Him in His light to be the light of the world as He is, so we can move on to this strange world. Let's pray. Abba, thank you for this month. Thank you for Yeshua, our Messiah. Thank you because you inspired us to continue counting the Omer, and you inspired us to keep doing your word, being in obedience to your word. Thank you, Father, and help us to not only understand, but also help us to practice what we learn. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. Amen.